who would want to play a class with no movement speed increasing buffs and literally auto attacks their way to max level? As you might guess, almost nobody. This class is the third least popular when it comes to hardcore, but it is also tied for the most likely to reach level 60 without dying, right next to Priest, which is why you should play it. Most people think Druid or Hunter is the easiest just because they can reach level 60 the fastest, but according to the death log, those two classes aren't even in the top 3 most likely to reach level 60, but Paladin is tied for number 1. So if you're looking for your best chance to get to level 60 on hardcore, you should actually be playing a Paladin. I want to share 6 important tips for succeeding as a Paladin, and it's not the obvious stuff that you might think. Now, why is Paladin the worst class for hardcore, and why is it so unpopular? Well, Paladin in vanilla is notorious for being one of the most absolutely boring classes to level. You cast Judgment and then you auto attack, rinse and repeat. There's no Divine Storm, no Crusader Strike, just Judgment. Eventually you can get Consecration once you go Holy Subspec, where it's a talent, but that's not till later on. And Exorcism can only be used on undead or demon targets, so you're left just judgmenting and auto attacking your way to 60, which is really boring. Most players recommend having a second monitor to do something else while you auto attack your way to 60. This could be risky in hardcore, but as a Paladin, you're actually really not very likely to die. Not only is it boring to level a Paladin, but it's also really slow. With a subpar movement speed increasing talent and only auto attacks, Paladins clear monsters slower than other classes and ultimately take longer to get to max level than other classes. Paladins also don't have any slows or snares, but that doesn't matter too much because they make up for it with other abilities, and also because Seal of Command's proc is based off weapon damage. Paladins are gear reliant on having a good weapon or their damage will suffer. Now, why is Paladin secretly overpowered? There's really no secret. Paladins are OP for hardcore actually. Divine Shield gives Paladins 10 seconds of invulnerability, which is plenty of time to solve whatever problem you get yourself into. Even if that's on cooldown, you can use Blessing of Protection for a physical damage and vulnerability, and then even after that, you have Lay on Hands for a full health heal. You basically deserve to die if after all those cooldowns you still haven't gotten to safety. This also means that Paladins are able to solo difficult group quests thanks to their many cooldowns. Blessing of Freedom is also another life-saving ability, getting you out of snares or slows instantly, allowing you to get away from a potentially lethal situation, which there are plenty. And a massive boon of playing a Paladin is the free mount at level 40. This alone is a convincing reason to play Paladin because while other classes might struggle to afford a mount at 40, you'll get it guaranteed every single time. This also means you don't have to worry about which spells to learn as you level, which is helpful because there's so many available. And by the way, Paladin buffs are the best in the game in vanilla thanks to Blessing of Salvation, which reduces threat generation, Blessing of Kings regarded as one of the best player buffs in vanilla, and Blessing of Wisdom, Might, and Sanctuary. Long story short, Paladin buffs. They're amazing and a big reason why a lot of players choose to roll Alliance in vanilla WoW. And since Retribution is the fastest way to level in vanilla, you'll end up getting Repentance, which is a 20-yard range humanoid crowd control paired with Hammer of Justice, which stuns any enemy. Paladin has 2 reliable forms of crowd control. Now, let's talk about Paladin weapon progression because we just talked about how it's so important, and honestly, my favorite part about leveling is getting a huge weapon upgrade. It feels amazing to feel your character get stronger, and for Paladins, your weapon is extremely important, again, because of Seal of Command's proc being based off weapon damage. You'll want the highest DPS weapon, which usually means the slowest attack speed, something like a two-handed axe. Check out this visual here. These are weapons you can seek out, not shown here, but also a great choice is Mogaine's Might, a powerful level 39 mace that you can get from Scarlet Commander Mogaine from Scarlet Monastery Cathedral. What I really love about this is that at level 4 you can pick up a wooden mallet. This is actually sold by weapon merchants, so you can just pick this up right away, guaranteed every single time, and get straight to 5 DPS weapon, nice and strong. Now I do see a lot of players actually pick up blacksmithing in the beginning to actually make a bunch of gear that's pretty dang good. At level 8 you can make a copper battle axe, which is 9 DPS, almost double what you were just using for the wooden mallet. You have to get blacksmithing up to 35. If you're human, then Edge of the People's Militia will be really easy to pick. Even if you're dwarf, you can take the tram and head to Westfall. Edge of the People's Militia is very strong. You will have to level up your two-handed sword weapon skill. It's a quest reward though, so guaranteed every single time. Then from there, you can go on and continue using sword. Strike of the Hydra as a drop. Drops aren't guaranteed. You can only run a dungeon 1 time a day in hardcore, so maybe not going to be as easy to get. Then there's Corpse Maker, really strong. Bone Biter, this is actually a quest reward, so this one actually is probably something you should try to get because it's guaranteed from that quest. You're gonna have to run Scarlet Monastery for it. And then we've got Ravager, could potentially drop from the armory. Excalibur, this is a very nice two-handed two-handed sword from Razor Fen Downs. If you're Alliance, could be a bit of a trip to get there. And then at 39, again, we talked about Mograin's Might from Scarlet Cathedral. Also a very, very nice two-handed mace. Diabolic Skiver. This is going to be another weapon skill leveling. By the way, leveling weapon skills sucks as a paladin because you don't have any spammable skill. It's just an auto attack. So if possible, if it was me, I would just stick with maces as often as I possibly could in order to not, avoid leveling up another different weapon, That's why we've got the Rock Pounder. You can get this from Arcados and Uldaman. There's Gator Bite Axe from Rotgrip and Moradon. Princess Theradros Scepter, dropped from Princess Theradros and Moradon. Then Dreadforge Retaliator from Emperor Daegrin, Thaurissan, and Blackrock Depths. So those are a bunch of weapons you can go after as you're leveling your paladin. Again, you're very weapon dependent. Your proc is based off weapon damage, and so you always want to have a really strong two-handed weapon to make sure your leveling speed is as fast as possible. Now you might be wondering, what is the best race for paladin in Classic WoW? Unlike Priest, this decision is not very hard. It's actually pretty black and white. Only two races can be paladins in vanilla, which is dwarf and human. Well, similar, I would say it's pretty easy choice. Human is best for PvE DPS, which includes leveling, thanks to the sword and mace specializations, the human spirit for more spirit, and perception can be situationally helpful against stealth mobs. Dwarves are best for tanking, but paladin tanks aren't really a thing in vanilla, but Stoneform, which grants that 10% bonus armor, also removes poisons and diseases. While a paladin can remove that themselves, they actually can't when they're crowd controlled, so dwarf paladins can get themselves out of blind, which is a poison in vanilla, while humans can't. So this makes dwarves superior in PvP situations like a Mak-Gara, but I'd recommend human for most players. Something that's really important for the paladin is the talent tree, and so we're going to start in the retribution tree, starting with 5 out of 5 benediction. This is going to reduce the mana cost of your judgment and seal spells. This, of course, is basically your entire rotation. You use your seal and then you use your judgment. So this is basically going to allow you to continue to use your spells over and over without having to rest. 5 out of 5 deflection. This is really great because if you mitigate an entire melee attack, that's a ton of damage mitigation, and then you'll also get parry haste, allowing you to attack faster, which is really, really helpful considering that's all you have is your auto attacks. 2 points into Pursuit of Justice for 8% movement speed. This is not just movement, it's also mounted movement. So once you get your free mount at level 40, you're going to be moving at 68% increased movement speed. So Pursuit of Justice is a very redeeming talent for the paladin, helping them with their much needed mobility problem. 1 point into Seal of Command. This is the one we're going to be using to get that proc for weapon damage and why having a strong weapon is really important. We're going to use this seal from now on. 5 points into Conviction for 5% more crit, which is really strong. Then we're going to go back up here and get Improved Blessing of Might. Increases the melee attack power bonus of your Blessing of Might by 20%. We're going to be auto attacking the majority of the time thanks to the 5-second rule. So we're not like spamming judgments. We're really just auto attacking, and we're going to have Blessing of Might, not Blessing of Wisdom, just to make our melee attacks deal more damage. From here, we can finally unlock Sanctity Aura. This is going to increase holy damage done by 10%. This is our new aura replacing Retribution Aura, and it's going to help us do a bunch more damage. From there, we're going to pick up 3 points into Two-Handed Weapon Specialization. Increases the damage deal with two-handed weapons by 6%. Nice little buff there. 5 out of 5 Vengeance for 15% bonus to physical and holy damage you deal after dealing a critical strike from a weapon. So Vengeance is very nice. Pick up Repentance. This is going to give us that ranged crowd control ability. And then from there, we're actually going to move over and pick up Divine Strength. Now, Divine Strength is super strong. 10% more strength. This is more attack power for us, which is really nice. We're going to pick up Improved Seal of Righteousness. Increases the damage done by your Seal of Righteousness and Judgment of Righteousness by 15%. So you could, at this point, switch over from Seal of Command to Seal of Righteousness now that it's stronger, depending if you want a more consistent playstyle, if you want to stick with Command, like if your weapon damage fell off or something like that. But I would stick with Seal of Command, personally. From here, you can finally unlock Consecration and build this into your rotation. You could start doing some AoE pulls as well, pull more than one mob. 2 points into Improved Lay on Hands. This is actually really good for hardcore, reducing the cooldown by 20 minutes, so it's pretty nice. You also get a 2-minute buff to your armor after using it, which is not bad. And then 3 points into Healing Light so that your Flash and Holy Light spells both heal for 12% more. And then finally, we'll finish off with 2 points into Improved Judgment to decrease the cooldown of your Judgment spell. At this point, you're going to have a lot more mana available to you, and you can definitely start using it way more, so reducing its cooldown is nice. And this is the final Retribution talent build that I would go personally, and I think it'll definitely help you very much on your leveling journey to go in this particular order. Okay. All right, with all that said, let's talk about skills you can skip. Now, because Paladins get a free mount at level 40, you don't need to be as picky about what spells to learn. However, However, if you still want to save your gold and not get every skill, you can honestly skip almost every single spell besides your primary Seal and Judgment, your important blessings like Bop, Divine Shield, Blessing of Freedom, Lay on Hands, Retribution Aura, Sanctity Aura, Flash, and Holy Lights. Resistant auras are nice, like Shadow, Fire, whatever. They're nice, but they're actually not needed while leveling, honestly. And I would say it's your call ultimately, but I would say don't feel like you need to skip spells to save for your mount because it's basically free, so you don't actually have to skip spells, but there's so many and you might as well skip a few of them. So in conclusion, guys, I hope you guys like this video and thanks for watching all the way through. Don't forget to subscribe if you aren't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.